Okay, Ligmar Skula. Choser the Rosh, you go back to the if you waited the whole way to not finish the whole thing, you have to go back into the Rosh at the beginning. Rachanog this the Menag. Mesharin Inyan Hashia Lefi Hakur we go according to the way a matter of delay according to the person who read it. Mulefi Rob and the other Menoko by the majority of people. This is from the Rajma, Sokpek Hayakora, and Vechenu V'Kamon Simon Kok Dal. And then Simon later on Simon Kok Dal. Okay. Rosh, you go. Okay. To the beginning. Hainu im hifzig b'kriyashma. This is we made a break by kriyashma. So this was in Ayin Berlacha. Look at the Berlacha. Afilu im hifzig im hafzig haya rakidei ligmar kriyashma. But if the break was just to finish kriyashma, close the Rosh kriyashma, you go to the beginning of kriyashma. And with berachos kriyashma, by the brachos of kriyashma, lo yachsa the Rosh bracha shapasuk shivitocha. You doesn't go back to the bracha which you made a break inside of it. Alim kain shal kedei ligmar mitchilas berachos yotzer or Gali. So unless you made a break until from enough to go from the beginning of the start of the bracha of Yotzer Or until the end of Gali Yisrael. Look at the Berlacha. The Biyana dim hifzik with brachas kriyashma. And if you made a break by brachas kriyashma, and between bracha and bracha between one bracha to the next, in every case you wouldn't have to go back and redo that bracha. B'diavad. So you do the bracha that you did right. By kriyashma hifzik between parsha. The parsha made a break between one parsha to the next. Mach was onus and it wasn't onus. V'shak and the column parsha. Then you waited enough to finish all the parshas. Close the Rosh. You wouldn't have to repeat all the parshas again. Okay. This is the right that you should have to redo it. V'uadin v'tfila, same thing by prayer. This is from the Darkei Moshe, the Vosh V'shaha V'shakasarye V'halo. This is from B'simen Tovkov Beis B'achronim Megillah and Berkas Kohanim. This is from the Tafrei Sadik B'achronim. Moshe Rabbeinu Berlacha explain the Berlacha and Sham. Look, and then there. Lafia Kaved. We go according to the person read it. Ben Lakhal Ben the Hach whether to be machmer, whether to be mega, whether to be machmer. This is from the Achronim. We go according to the person who's actually reading, not by the majority. Close the Rosh. Let's look at the Mishnah. Let's look at the Berlacha. I am Mishnah. Look at the Mishnah Rosh of Kan Hay, which is said in Hay. Tam Kol Devar. The Tam Kol Devar. The reason for the whole thing is the Choy is to establish Shlosha Pratim. The Choy is to be mistafik about three things. Echad. The first thing is in Hadin. If the din of waiting to finish the whole thing, the close of the Rosh and go back to the beginning, who dafka v'shashama kishashava emsa parsha, then only when you waited in the middle of the parsha, or filu bein parsha to parsha, or is that even when you did it between one parsha and the next phase? The second thing is, im hadin t'shah kedegmar kul, if you waited to the whole thing, who dafka b'kriyashma is only by kriyashma, or filu im shah the berachos kriyashma, or is it even if you waited by the brachos of kriyashma? Gimel. The third thing to have a suffix about it is. Hadin the close the Rosh, then you go back to the beginning. And gam came the brachos. You go back also to the brachos when you go back to the beginning. Odom even the kamel and the brachos kriyashma. Since we pass with the brachos don't stop kriyashma, you don't have to. You can take kriyashma without them. Hey mitzvah when they are their own mitzvah. They don't have to. They don't really need kriyashma. And also nafla achar shav zman. Kriyashma proves that you make the bracha for them even after the time of kriyashma. Amayas the brachos. Why would you go back to the brachos if you made this long break? Wasn't because you have to go brachos kriyashma. The same thing would be if you made a break by the brachos of kriyashma. Can go me'em v'sviyat. For example, yam sviyat. The tzarach amken the cause of the kriyashma. Misham brachos. Would you have to go back? You would have to go back to kriyashma or the other brachos that you mixed. Odom brachos or is it that the brachos with kriyashma are two topics? Even the Baal Mei Ma'akbet, since in general they're not Ma'akiv, you could do one without the other, being Yotzi the other. Who and then Gam Kain Imshal Ligmar Kula, the same thing would be if you waited to finish the whole thing. Ba'av Rabba, or you start with Fizeh, you wouldn't have to, according to this, just the beginning of this bracha below the Yotzor, and you wouldn't have to go back to the start. The first one, Yotzor. The key in the Kabbalah, and since we were passing the brachos these brachos don't mark one as the other. Kedis of brachos daf yud beis on alef, as we pass in brachos daf yud beis on alef. And kain l'chora kol bracha beinim v'nei so then l'chora each bracha is its own bracha. V'lo domya l'tfila l'hal Megillah, it's not similar to prayer, hal and Megillah. Amay after the Yotzar, why would you go back to Yotzar? The Hini Adina Rishon Matasi Bez Hashem. The first thing they found with the help of Hashem, the one is it by Kriya Shema the Brachos. Or sorry, is it by in the middle or between, even between Parshas? And you found this in the Rashba. Reish Perek Beis the Brachos. The first Perek, the beginning of Perek Beis and Brachos. Hope at the bar of the Kam B'Simon Kaftal and Verag Rav. He brought his words later on in Kaftal and Verag Rav. The Muchas, the Shia, Ula Filu Ben Parsha Parsha proves that the with delaying is even between one parsha and the next. But then the Shani Mitzvah B'Derech L'Chaim Ashar 7, and the second then I found in the B'Derech L'Chaim which writes the Shah Filu Birchos Kriya Shema, so it's applicable to delay even by Birchos Kriya Shema. Okay. The Shah Mashma Mine, and there it's Mashma from him. The Filu Im Shah Rakadei Ligmar Osa Brachim, to just waited enough for that, just that Brachma. Mekre Shah Kadei Ligmar Kul, that's still called delaying enough to finish the whole thing. This one bracha. The Nidab B'Zel, we're going to speak about this later on. Lo Nishar Lani Raka Shela Gimel, and now we only have the third question, which we mentioned earlier. If you miss one, do you go back to the whole of Kriya Shema and brachos and stuff, or just that one thing you're at? And nearly that's Lena B'Mai the Yisuf Yishami, it appears to me that it's based on what it is in the Yisham parak based the brachos and second parak of brachos. Who b'chulishu b'geveger, it's brought in b'geveger b'sharei chronim the other chronim. B'zel l'shon, this is language. Rabbon Bar Chia asked this question. Can go in Kriya Shema b'berachos. For example, Kriya Shema and its brachos, or Kriya Shema v'lo berachos, or Kriya Shema without its brachos, or berachos v'lo hi, or brachos and not its brachos and not the Kriya Shema. Uperish Pnei Moshe zel l'shon. Pnei Moshe explains, and this is his language. Other meaning im hifsik b'shah kedei ligmar skula. This that we say that if you delayed and you waited to finish the whole thing, lo yatz, you wouldn't be able to b'sarach sheyechos l'rosh, you have to go back to the beginning. My kula dekam. What is it complete that it's saying? You go in Kriya Shema and brachos, does it mean Kriya Shema with its brachos, or hivul brachos, does it mean without its brachos? Or if you can lingmar birchos v'lo hi, or if it's just not finish the brachos and not it itself. I come to show this is his language. So what is the kula? Is it with its brachos? Is it brachos without it? Fine. And this is space. If the imnom the tzarach l'shos ad k'dei kriya shema, if you have to say that you need to wait until to finish the kriya shema brachos tafel and its brachos specifically, he meishel shaykh l'zadi because they're applicable one to the next. Who then b'shachozav l'rosh, same thing when you go back to the beginning, you have to gam kim v'pasay, you would have to go back to the beginning also with its brachos. They're applicable to each other. And if you say that in order to finish the whole thing, hainu kriya shema, ask for them is kriya shema itself. Who would then kishachozer and tzorach lechazer raka kriya shema? Same thing if you would go back to, when you go back, you would only have to go back to kriya shema, and leverachos we would not have to go back. And nearly the after muchav Yerushalmi has even though it's proven from this Yerushalmi the din of shakadei ligmar kula, that the din of waiting to finish the whole thing, barak midrabanan is only midrabanan. Midin boile im brachos alo, if it's with the brachos or not. So the brachos are clearly only the Rabbanan. The Indian Kriya Shema, still in regards to the Kriya Shema, it's proper to be machmer even because it is really deraisa. There's no chashash of a bracha levatala of redoing it. Which is not true by the brachos, there would be a chashash, and you shouldn't repeat it if you have a suffix. Okay, therefore, if you're waiting by Kriya Shema, even just enough to finish all three parashas, you should be machmer and go back and do the whole thing. Baraka Kriya Shema levada, and just repeat the Kriya Shema alone. Aval brachos, afilu imshava Kriya Shema, but by the brachos, even if you waited by Kriya Shema, ligmar parashas v'gama brachos, you waited the whole time have to finish the Rosh and the Brachos, and Tzorach L'chaz, you wouldn't have to go back. Ki Yesh Lanu Leila Kula, because we should go by the Kula. V'lomer the Brachos L'shayach the Kriya Shema, and say that the Brachos are inapplicable to Kriya Shema. The Yimshah Brachos Kriya Shema, and if you made a break by the Brachos of Kriya Shema, Lo Yitzhak L'chaz the Rosh, you wouldn't have to repeat. Elim Kain, but you did both things. Meaning, we have to be very sure that you have to repeat. If you just wait enough for this bracha, you wouldn't have to repeat this bracha, because maybe the whole thing is one thing. If you waited enough to finish the whole thing, okay, now you for sure have to at least repeat this bracha. Elim Kain Shaka de Ligmar B'tchilu Yosran, or Ad Gal Yisrael, from the beginning of Yosran until Ad Gal Yisrael. They Rishami, Hami Boile, Yamam Rinam B'brachos Velohi. If we have the Rishami has a question, if we say the brachos are not it, or lo, or not. Yam Kain Yesh Lanu. Therefore, we should go be mako below meaning brachos elohim. We don't say it's brachos not it. El habrachos. Rather, we say the brachos im kriyashma. We have the brachos with kriyashma. Who after the they're all one for this thing, and you wouldn't repeat. V'chein cause of chayadim similar to chayadim. Look at their chayim and ali their chayim and al. Le'ez the bracha yaser. Which bracha should go back? Hine im hifsik with Avraham. Made a break by Avraham. Lo yitzrak cause the yotzra. You wouldn't have to go back. In any way. Maybe it's right, the brachos, and not it, and therefore these are not applicable to the first one, they're all separate. Maybe they're separate, and if they're separate, there's no way you can go back to the first one. And the brachos gamkein in the hem askash, and if so, then automatically it's going to be the brachos don't have a connection one to the next. The kind below Ma'azlim Paskin in general, the inner barak they don't stop one to the next. Below you start the cause of rak l'tchilas habrachos. You wouldn't have to go back except to the beginning of the brachos. Habrachos Google. You won't have to go back to this beginning of this bracha. V'rakim pasak be'emtza emes v'yatzis. Only if you made a break in the middle of emes v'yatzis. Near the yasser, the Kriya Shema would appear that you go to Kriya Shema mitam now from the reason we said earlier. Mele impossible in bracha the bracham, and automatically if you've made a break between one bracha and the next, b'chol gavni in every case in tzarech lo lechazer klal mitam anal. In every case, you would never have to go back for the same reasons as mentioned earlier. Saying if you made a break between emes v'yatziv, you should go back and do Kriya Shema again, because the chance you didn't do Kriya Shema, because maybe you missed the whole thing, and you're at emes v'yatziv, so you for sure have to do emes v'yatziv again, and you may have to do Kriya Shema again if they're all one thing. You won't have to do the whole thing, but maybe you have to do Kriya Shema. So let's redo Kriya Shema and do emes v'yatziv, because that's what we know for sure you have to do. Can you really on the outside? That seems with my humble opinion. But if you're shreiving bracha, you would never have to repeat. Can you live in the outside to be as Hashem Yisrael? This is my humble opinion with the help of Hashem Yisrael. But he is blessed. But I'll be there because I'm the Kol Hadvar Mishna Berura, and through this I wrote all my things in the Mishna Berura, all my words in the Mishna Berura. Kriya Shema. In one of these Kriya Shema, V'nechlas the basic and answer into to a shul. And once the Tzibur found the congregations according Kriya Shema to reading Kriya Shema. So you have to read with them without Kriya Shema they're reading. Pasuk Kriya at least the first pasuk. V'shelo yirak ilu eino roa wrote to the Kabbal of Malchus Shemayim that shouldn't appear to you as if you don't want to accept the yoke of heaven. Im chaver with his friends. Who is in him who v'beis the knas similarly to in shul v'omer. And they're saying words of supplications of psukim. The makom shirishai of psukim in a place which is permitted to make a break. Then he would again say with them. He would say Shema with them. Avol imhu ostik b'makom she'in rishai of psukim. He's in a place where he's not permitted to make a break for whatever reason. He's saying supplications and something you couldn't break could go on. But mibar sham avail. For example, he's in bar sham and onwards. Lo yafsuk, you shouldn't make a bracha. You shouldn't make a hefsek. Eliyomer table shehu omer, rather you should say the words which he is saying. B'shasa tibur omer and pasuk rishon. While they're still tibur saying their first pasuk. Benigan tibur, say it with the singing of the congregation. So whatever you're saying about Shamar, you should be saying that. Shema Yisrael. Baruch Shomar. So that Sheyu near Kilu Kari Mam, so it'll appear as if you're reading with them. I don't know how they sing Shema. Kari Kriyashma. Mikol Shagain Im Lo Kara Dayan, for sure if you didn't read it still. The Tzarech Likro has the Pasuk Harishni, if you have to redo the. You would have to read the first Pasuk. So if you didn't read the first. If you read the first pasuk, or you didn't read it, really. But you shouldn't have intent to be yotze with this mitzvah. So I say the kriyashma. It's to say kriyashma if you didn't do it already. Kivan she'en lo tefillah and baroshin, you don't have tefillah on your head. The gam yabul brachos is also going to be without the brachos. Look at the levels of sim and vav. The mishabur said earlier in sim and vav and mishabur. I sham. But nearly that filuim who etzlo kodim brachos the Torah. Even if they're by them, if he's by this person before brachos the Torah. Present Islam. Or if it's by him, the situation is by him that he's before Birchas Torah. Kagon she'eno omer pasuk l'shem limud. For example, he's not saying the pasuk kiva she'eno omer pasuk l'shem limud. He's not saying this pasuk for learning, so we'll be okay and you'll say it. I know the some above Mishnah Berurah Chavchas. Look at Mishnah Berurah some above and the Mishnah Berurah Chavchas with some Zion of Mishnah Berurah Kat Yed Zion. Okay. Rak Shemazah Yizar Shalo Yomer Yosem Pasuk Rishon. But by this you should be careful not to say more than the first pasuk because you are before Birchas Torah, and even that was not so pasuk. You could say any pasuk. Those have Iraq Torah B'Torah Kedalakam Aser. That with this it's only going to be reading the Torah, and it's going to be Aser if you say more than the needed amount. Shakarin Kriyashma, the reading Kriyashma. Within Shak Davar Shatibur, similarly other things that Tibur is saying. This is from the Achronim. You go on the heel of the David, the heel of the David, or Eleno, or he's up to Eleno. Those things again you should repeat with them. This is from the Makafis Ashako. Kori Mani should read with them Shekain Deacheres because that's proper. Pasuk Rishon, the first pasuk. V'gam Baruch Shem Kavod Machasol Yeleved. Not just the first pasuk, you should also say Baruch Shem Kavod Machasol Yeleved. This is from the Achronim. But Dastagrov berura, and Dastagrov, his explanation is to start with Kosimon. Kol Kriyashma, you have to say with them the whole Kriyashma. Amna Pesukah de Zimra, nearly the Eina half by Yosim in Pasuk Rishon. If you're in the middle of Pesukah de Zimra, you should only be machmer by the first pasuk of Kriyashma. Don't go more. And this one, the King calls of Bagos Der Chaim. This one, written in the Gos Der Chaim. The Balaam Hachi. Das the Mechaber, anyway, the opinion of the Mechaber is the half of Pesukah de Zimra Kedalakaman is to be machmer by Pesukah de Zimra, as we're going to say later on. Lo Yafsik. So, for example, he's in the middle of Baruch Sha'amar, he shouldn't make a bracha. He shouldn't break the bracha and say Shema. B'achronim question, the Achronim right. The Bebirkat Baruch Sha'amar, that by bracha of Baruch Sha'amar, this is from the Derech HaChaim, is V'yishtabach and V'yishtabach Pesukah de Zimra, or you're in your Pesukah de Zimra, Yesh Lahafsik. You should make a break. In order to accept the yoke of heaven and say Shema with the congregation. But if you're in the brachos of Kriyashma, or even if you're in between the prakim of Kriyashma, Lo Yafsik Klal shouldn't make any break at all. This is from the Derech Chaim. El Yomer also a table Benigam, rather you should say those words, but you're up to Kemoshe Tzarech Omer in Kriyashma. Just like the way the Tzibur is saying Kriyashma, you should say those words you're up to in Kriyashma. But in Pesukah de Zimra, you should say Shema. In Birchas Shema, no. Kara Kriyashma, if you read Kriyashma, the Nichlas, the basic next, and went into a shul. V'matzah Tzibur Shekara in Kriyashma, he found the congregation is reading Kriyashma. Tov Shikra Imam, it's good to read with them. Okay? If you're in shul saying Kriyashma, say Kriyashma. Kol Kriyashma, the entire Kriyashma, Kriyashma, Kabul Skar Kekar, no accept reward like reading the Torah. Abul Eno Chayav Rak Pasuk Rishon, you're only obligated in the first pasuk commotion as far as has been explained earlier. So the first pasuk you have to say, otherwise it looks bad. But the rest of it you should say, just to be nice and get some scar. Everything which is also to speak, it's even by Lashon Kodesh also Ladaber is also to speak. This is from the Magen Avraham. This is Akdama. Fine. Abafilu Teva Achas, also even one word would be also. Bein Prakim Shol B'Shalom. So here's the rules of between the Prakim. You can ask for peace. Adam Nechbad of when you ask how you doing or Shalom Aleichem for an Adam Nechbad, for an honored person, and Meitzur Shalom Achadim, and you can respond to anyone who asks you Shalom. Shalom B'Shalom, and in the middle of a paragraph you could ask for Shalom. Misha who Yaresh Miman, one who's afraid of him. Agon Aviv or Rabbi, for example, his father or his Rebbe. Or Misha Gal Manol Shaman is greater than him. The Chachma with wisdom. Makol Shekain Melech, for sure a king. He would have to, or honest, or someone who's a forcing situation is going to kill him or something. You could respond to him. He's afraid of him. His Rebbe, his father, or a king, or an honest. Meishav Shalom Nad Nifban, and respond peace to someone who's honored. If you're in the middle of the paragraph, the people bam the pasuk, even in the middle of the pasuk, it would be the same rules. Let's be pasuk Shema Yisrael, except for the pasuk of Shema Yisrael, brushing for Magos Ali Leved, or brushing Magos Ali Leved. Shlo Yavzu Behem Klal, you shouldn't make a break with them at all. Im Lo Name Yishiyar Shema Yargan, unless you're in the middle, you're in a place where you're afraid that someone's going to kill him. Maybe he was going to kill him. Bein Prakim, Dafka Bishapagmu Zazav Mimel. It's only when they meet each other automatically. But if he gets up early to his doorway and he's in the middle of Shema, okay, and he's between Bein and Prakim, and he's someone who he's supposed to give cover to, or to go in the shul, to the set place, to his friends, to say shalom to him, even for his father and for his rabbi. Also, even before saying Baruch Shamar, you're not even saying any brachos. To call them tefillin, since it's for davening, you shouldn't be going over to them and saying shalom. You should be davening. Similarly, it's proven according to Tam Amar B'Gemar, which is on the Gemara Yadala. What if you can consider this person better than Hashem? You should be talking to some person. Ayin Sham Peish Rashi Zer Nash. I'm Kedushin. I'm a Gimel. I'm a Beis. Shalo Yeh Kavod L'Cham Mikol Shemaim. They shouldn't have this person's honor more than the honor of heaven. Shalom B'Shalom. You should ask for peace. People blushing lads, even with the language of lads, you could say, how are you doing? The daf fun and fadasha shalom. If it's only by a new person, can you respond and can you ask and respond? This one the Magen Avraham. Shimlo Yishal Yabuli, they say that if you don't respond, he's going to come to hate you. But if that someone who that hasn't seen him, Shiyak Bed Al Chaver or Shklal, that if someone we haven't seen that he's going to be makbid on his friend at all, lo yafzik afilu bein prakim, you shouldn't make any break even between the prakim. Okay, and the female men again, so therefore, according to our minhag nowadays, this is from the Malakim Magen Avraham and the Eli Rambam, taken from the Magen Avraham and the Eli Rambam. So we don't have the minhag to ask with peace in the shul. They used to feel about dominating. Khalil the shul, it's a bad thing to ask. Olahashi versus respond. Feel is every Torah, even for every Torah. Lo bein aprakim lo b'suk zimra, bein aprakim neither by b'suk zimra. Im avavehefsik, if you made a break, you violated this and you made a break. This is from the Kam B'Sim Kafov, the Kav Dalad, Magen Avraham, Sivkat and Hay, Muchach Yosef Beragrat, even more proven in the Beragrasham, Ayin Sham, the Indian Tesha Tekios in regards to the 9 blasts. But Kriya Shema, if you made a break by Kriya Shema, if you b'makom she'ein reshai lahavsik, given by a place where you're not permitted to make a hefsek, below shak ligmar school idea, but you didn't make enough of a break to finish the whole thing. According to everyone, you only go back to that pasuk. This is from the Eli Rambam and some of Dalid, B'Shem Harvey Post, the name of Harvey Post. Some say you don't have to do the whole pasuk, you can do that just that word. Shapasik, Miman, if you stop from, you can just continue there. This one, the Prima God and B'Shem Lavosh, guys at Mishnah. If that pasuk is some time thing which is stopping the topic, it's not in the middle of a sentence. Adam nechbad, for an honorable person. Shiroi l'hakim lo shalom, and it's fitting to give him shalom first. Hingon shu zakim, for example, he's an elder, or tamakacham is a tamakacham. L'chein imuhu ansher shiroi l'chabe lo mimei amach mazashka, or if he's a rich person, it's fitting to honor him because he's rich. Divri chamud, compare Megadim, divri chamud is in the Megadim. For every single person. Shehikdim lo shalom, which you gave him shalom first. Mashma v'chadusha v'rashma. And see what you could respond to everyone. It's mashma v'chadusha v'rashma. The mutter l'chafil l'shal v'shalom. It's mutter l'chafil to ask in peace hakora of the person who's said to him. Apple pish yodea shitzarach lashivo. Even though someone who is reading, even though he knows you would have to respond to him. Ma'and el b'sifkan beis look earlier in sifkan beis. So it's mutter to do it, even if someone is going to have to respond. Avivo Rabbo, his father or his Rebbe. Rotalom Rabbo Muvak, this doesn't mean it's just his Rebbe, his specific Rebbe. She'ikr Tarasim, his main Torah is from him. It's from the Chai Adam. Apple Pishu Gadol B'Torah, even though he's a Gadol B'Torah. Ato Yosef Rabbi, now more than his Rebbe. This is from the Prima Gadim. Rishayfu Mora, and it's applicable to them more the fear of the Rebbe who's his Muvak. Made the cause from the fact that the pasuk says, "Ish imo b'avitiro," his mother and father should fear. Tanan morab kamar shemayim, and the fear of heaven. And we learned in the Brisa about the Rebbe, the more of your Rebbe should have like the fear of heaven. God b'menu, he's greater than him. V'im heim shavim, and if they're equal, it is from the Olas Talmud. Have b'chlam v'nei kavod, that's included because of kavod. And therefore you could respond, but you couldn't ask. If the person who's reading is greater than him, he wouldn't make a break even for a Talmud Chacham. So this is when the Magen Avraham, if this person is reading is greater, and another Greek Rebbe would ask him, he wouldn't make a break. With wisdom, that even if he's greater than him, it would only be because of kavod. It wouldn't be counted as being fear. Unless he's a Talmud Chacham, which is muflag in his generation, more than it's included in fear. This is from the Magen Avraham the Eli Rabbah. Vakoshke and Melech, for sure a king. Hafilu Melech Yisrael, even the king of Israel, or Jewish king. This is from the Olas Talmud. Here that's been included in because of a year. The chsiv some to sim alech melech, surely place upon yourself a king. Shetei mas alech, that you have this fear upon you. That's what this pasuk means. On this, or some sort of forcer, or malshin, or a person who will give you over. When it means honest, it means someone's going to tell you over to the government, and you're going to be in real trouble. This is from the Rambam, the first Mishnah, the explanation of the Mishnah. A pasuk. Even if you're in the middle of the pasuk, you should still make a break. So some say in the middle of the pasuk you shouldn't make a break. This is from the Magen Avraham in the name of the Kesef Mishnah. Except in a case where it's going to stop the topic, it's over. The pasuk and if you do stop for whatever reason, then you would have to go back to the beginning of the pasuk. In regards to what you should do, when you make a break to answer for Kaddish or Kaddish, so this when you go to Siyum. Kamoshi's brother comments we're going to explain later on. It's impossible for him to quickly finish the topic. He's able to make a break. Even in the middle of the topic. And to rely on the owners of the first logic. And they didn't make a split for the great mitzvah like this of Kaddish and Kedusha. Him and Tzibor, and to answer with the Tzibor, you could do this. There's a pasuk, and afterwards you should start at the beginning of the pasuk. When you could do it, if you can't stop, so if you can't finish the topic, and you can't finish the pasuk, so then just answer with them and start with the pasuk again. Okay, so let's mean pasuk, except for the pasuk which is of Shema Yisrael, which you can't do. Okay. There's nothing greater than the accepting of the King of heaven. And we times them because of this, lo yafsik gam kain ben Shema Yisrael levar shem kavach zoli on bed. You should make a heftik between Shema Yisrael and levar shem kavach zoli on bed. Shagam hu mekal yichla because that's also included in the yichla of Shema Yisrael. Levar shem kavach zoli is there. Beis Yosef. Mehem klal. Mashra the filu hektim nekor. It's imagine even if you the Vila Kalish Kedusha Baruch Hu even Kalish and Kedusha and Baruch Hu you shouldn't answer by Shema and Roshan. I am very lucky, look at very lucky. After the Imkar Kriya Haya La'achar Shol shows that if the reading was after 3 hours, do Rak Kakar B'Torah, then now it's not really a real accepting and full Shema, it's just a reading in the Torah class, then you would have to make a break. Imlo Ruchu, if not Ruchu. Medina who promotion but tefillah and the din is like it by tefillah lekaman the simon kaftel later on the simon kaftel. This one they have got. Bein and Prakim Shalom Mishalom. Meaning if you're afraid of the person, the din is going to be later on. It's like later on. Bein and Prakim Shalom Mishalom. Between the Prakim you should ask for the piece of another nechvad. I'm the Mishnah Berurah, like the Mishnah Berurah, Masha Gesavdi Shikishu Zakam, when we said that he's an elder. Who Milosh Nol Stam, that's when the oldest Stam, and Mash Minat Mat from it. Sham, over there. Dimin Uzaki, in Enuzaki, he's not an elder. Rakshu, Galam man is just greater than Bishanim in years. Enenu Bechal, Nekab is not because of Yaakov. I'm the Chaim, Upimagadam, looking for the Chaim, Upimagadam, just older doesn't make you have a Zakin stance. We call Adam for every single person. I'm barely a rabbi. Look at the other rabbi. Shev B'Shem Rambam. Let's bring the name of the Rambam. It proves that for a guy, for sure you could respond. Okay. If he said Shalom, you could respond to him. If he's a strong person who becomes a year, that's included in because of fear. He's going to punch you. I don't know what he's going to do. I'm Mishnah Berurah, the Masha Gesisha, attacked the B'Shem Kedush Rajba, the Mishnah Berurah we copied over the name of the Rajba, Umilash and the Magan Ram, spelling language of the Magan Ram. I'm Makas the Shackle, look at the Makas the Shackle, Shanidukak, the Makar was pressed in the source, who Pashit, and he paskins, the Humid Medikasiv, where he basically where the source is from, Humid Medikasiv Sham Araj was from that, the Raj writes there, Indian Rabbar Shaba, in regards to Rabbar Shaba. Rabbi Shava. That's why I didn't ask him first for Shalom, Mishalma, the Ravina, with the piece of Ravina, Mishum the Lab or because it's not proper. Mashma, the Ilav if it wasn't for this, it would be much for him to ask even in the middle of Halal. Even though through this, Ravina would have to respond to him. So therefore, we see you could ask someone in the middle of his creation, even though he will have to respond to you. Mikamakam Shalom Machad is the shackle, still the din of the Machad is the shackle, because of some MS, which he writes there is true. The Epshad is Dafka Ben Prakam Mutter L'Sholetz, maybe it's only in the middle of the Prakam, he would be much to ask him. Avalobem Saperik, not in the middle of the Perik, so we don't know if he could do it in the middle of the Perik. Oh, honest, or someone who's an honest, you could again respond to them. I'm Mishnah Berurah, the Mishnah Berurah, would you call them a Malshin? The Re'isa B'Sefer Shalmim, Simcha Islam the Shalmi, Simcha Jehev B'Shem Marashak, that brings the name of the Shak, the Fila B'Shvil, Hefsid Mammon Mutalas, even for the sake of lots of money, you could still make a break and say, hello, how are you doing? Don't kill me. Umeshiv, and he responds, but I'm barely hate to look at the way I hate to B'Shem, Rabbi Yehuda, the name of Rabbi Yehuda, Chassid. The Dafka Teva Ach is only one word you're able to make to pray. You could say, hello. But Magen Avraham causes the Melashon Talmid Rabbi Yonan, and the Magen Avraham writes that in different language. Rabbi Yonan Mashra the Kadeshi Lashalom Mamash, it means enough for responding peace, really. Say the whole thing, whatever you normally say. So can you just say Shalom, or you could just say whatever. Shalom Aleichem. My people mem to pasuk, give me the middle of pasuk. I'm mission burlik, mission bur mash because we said the Indian Maisa in regards to Maisa. And got some say for about Yom. Some that's what it writes in Sefer about Yom. But after the derech hachayim because of the habachim derech hachayim is the opposite. Do a den the Indian aniach kaddish kedusha. Same thing will be by kaddish by kedusha. Who rak imnis dam and lo b'makom shesala kinyon. It's only when he by kaddish kedusha if he's in a place where his topic is over. But also in his proof is the Daniel's Kaddish or Kedusha, that responding of Kaddish Kedusha, Nelman Vidin Meishav Shalom Mipnei Kavod, is learned from the Vidin of and responding to every single person. Or sorry, responding because of honor. And Kaddish Kedusha is like that. And you couldn't, so therefore you couldn't make a break. If you're in the middle of a pasuk, you couldn't do it. V'sham halo pasuk, and there then we pass in the Magen Avraham, the Dafka V'Sola Kinyan. It's only when you finish the topic are you able to make a break and say Mipnei Kavod. Therefore, so too by saying Kaddish and Kedusha, you should only be as good as that and only be able to say when the topic is over. Mikomakom nearly your slightly still seems to have an opinion that the dinima olas in Avodas Yom, the laws of the Avodas Yom, the halu din zem Magen Avraham, this din of the Magen Avraham in Muslim, it's not a Greek, he sham because of Mishnah there, and because of Mishnah lo hu rak the Yigdam, and you only bring the Yigdam. Begam Magen Avraham, and also in the Magen Avraham lo huskar brak Hashem Yashom, maybe only says the Yesham. Begam po Milashin Shulchan Aruch lo mashrik, and also here in the Mashal. It's also not mashma like the Magen Avraham. Okay, so Yeshomir to Nikanami. Dilav Hakad if not so. My rebus is the Shema Yisrael. What's the chiddush of saying Shema Yisrael? You shouldn't make a break on Shema Yisrael. Alo Chadin Yanu, who is it's only one topic, one cold pasuk, the entire pasuk. Therefore, you can't make a break in any pasuk like Shema Yisrael. Who cares if it's Yo Umachol Shemaim, not Umachol Shemaim, any pasuk, which is not finished the topic. In the mashal b'sim samachay b'simach alef sif yadal is a mashal later on sim samachay sif yadal b'agab who know misafri, and that's brought from the sifri. Okay, but what about the fact that it's more simple to put it there? I mean, but he's only talking about the Shulchan Aruch itself himself is only talking about trying so. Okay. You know, in the Machmer Magen Avraham, the flesh the dasi Yisham, and the granted that the Magen Avraham wants to be concerned about the opinion of the Yisham Hazeh and in Hafsaka in regards to making a break for a covet. Avalul levatal yideza and yom chamen yesh meiraba kedusha baruch, but he shouldn't be matal to this the yamen yesh meiraba and kedusha and baruch. Shlo yasu hem klal. You shouldn't make a break between them at all. I'm Mishnah Berurah, Mishnah Berurah, and yes, I see. If you by brushing women's shema, you shouldn't make a break at all. Look at the Mishnah Berurah. On the side, after the pasha the middle of mash, even though the simple thing matter the implies the lo yana you shouldn't answer. It needs it needs a lot of yin about this. We explained earlier the dinam bach the shulti giborim the laws of the back and shulti giborim the b'diavad him lo amar broshing v'machosoli on bed, but if b'diavad if you didn't make a broshing v'machosoli on bed and soft you wouldn't have to go back. So we said broshing v'machosoli on bed is included, and b'diavad anything of you shouldn't respond to Neha Kabad or a Yira, unless you're going to die. So he's saying, is this really true? It's like, we said when Shal says, the B'diavad Mu'am Roshek B'mak was only on bed, and so you won't have to go back. Minaylan Lahashros, the Indian Shei also Lahavzipo, how do we know to make it equal that in regards to it should be also to make a break in it? For a many Hishmarama and Kedusha and Baruch, how would we know to make say that would be okay? That would be a problem. But Raya Shehevi Agra, the proof that the Agra brings the din of back to the din of Beis Yosef, Miyakavina from back to Miyakavina Malav Shalom, Shalo Yaks, Shalo Hifsik, Yosef Eishikar Shema. He didn't make a break for Yosef when the time when he's reading Shema, and so therefore we see that Yaakov Avinu didn't want to measure him whatever Shalom. He's a king, I guess. He should be giving him Shalom, even because he's in the middle of Shema. Yishkar Shema. In Ra'el Brashing B'Makot Elyon. That's not a proof to Brashing B'Makot Elyon. But Kolomar Yaakov as Klal, because Yaakov didn't say it there at all. Rakolim Tiras Wamro. He didn't say it there at all. Didn't say Brashing B'Makot Elyon when he was saying Shema. He just said just right before his death is when he said it. Kedisa of Psachim Amidalef. It says Psachim Amidalef. Often that's because he has a whole thing. He said Shema Yisrael. They said Shema Yisrael, and he said Rosh Hashanah. All the brothers said Shema Yisrael, and then he said Rosh Hashanah. But he, when he was saying his Shema, he was just saying Shema. Even if you're going to grant that in the middle of Rosh Hashanah, shouldn't make a break in every case. So what is it then, even if you have to make a half between Shema and Rosh Hashanah? Is that okay? And the fact that the post can make a split, it's mashal that you shouldn't answer. In the hints of the Torah, or the rims of the Torah, whatever that is, the simon and the simon. I don't know. I'm a Sefer Yishua Yaakov. Look at the Sefer Yishua Yaakov. It's Rochin Gadol, Lamaisa. He's gradient Lamaisa. If you could make a break between Shema and Rosh Hashanah, and really even where's the source that Rosh Hashanah you can't respond? Is that really right?